Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's Christmas come early, or it's very early.
It's Thursday come
early. A couple days ago. It's Thursday come early. We've got a bunch of new knives in front of me on the table, the coolest new knives, in fact, that have just hit our shelves on a Tuesday this week. Let's get into it. All right, we're going to start things off this week with a whole bunch of Kizer, because a lot of Kizer has just gone live at the site. The first of which, a new version of the Mini Grouper, an Ozo design, for just under $70 for this one right now. We've got a 3.16-inch leaf-shaped blade, D2 steel, and a really cool gray finish on this. It's the website says gray stonewash, but it's more of like a fine gray coating. It's almost like gun-like in a way, which is kind of apt actually, because the action on this knife is very precise and mechanical feeling, which is quite nice. This is well, what does Kizer call this lock now? Well, we're just calling it a button lock on the website. It is essentially a button-fired derivative of the compression style lock, which Spyderco still owns the name to. So we'll call it a button spiner lock here, for lack of a better term. Unlike a lot of the button spiner locks out there, or battle locks, as some folks in the comments have taken to calling it, the button itself is kept very close to the pivot. A lot of times this button tends to like wander a little further back on the handle, the result of which is you take a little bit of chunk out of the blade essentially to make room for the button. So you lose a little bit of usable edge that you could otherwise have. Not so on this one. They maintained edge pretty much all the way back, which is quite nice. G10 handles, OD green, feels very good in my hands. I like the swoop to it, which is quite nice. The geometry of the blade is great, full flat grind, thin enough, not super thin, but thin enough with this type of height where it's going to be a pretty good slicer. And the cool thing about this shape on a handle like this is the tip is a little further down, makes it a little easier, more natural to point in certain close-up scenarios. Deep carry pocket clip, reversible, which is cool. This is going to be a good lefty or right-handed knife, whichever you choose. It's very cool. Next up, we've got some mini versions or smaller versions of the Kizer Momo. My favorite of which is this blue and black version right here. The blue is vibrant and offset against the black. I think it's just kind of spectacular, actually. Blade is 3.2 inches, so even though mini is in the name, it's not really a mini knife. Comes in about 85 bucks with a 154 cm blade, 3.2 inches as mentioned. Full flat grind with a swedge here at the back, mostly decorative, but it does carry or they have a swoop in the handle that meets up with that swedge there on the front. So you get this cool kind of wavy character line going through the whole thing, which is pretty nice. The handle is neutral enough, curves back like so. Nothing in the way of the pivot area there, so if you want to choke up right by the edge, you can. There is basically no type of finger guard or protection there, so keep that in mind. But the advantage of this is you see it, or maybe you can take advantage of it a little more on the larger sized versions of this knife, but it is cutting board friendly. You've got clearance to the knuckles, and you've got edge all the way back with nothing getting in the way of doing kind of rocking cuts like so, or just pull through slicing cuts, which will also work nicely. We've got a milled pocket clip. I'm guessing it's probably titanium, but I can't confirm that. Actually, can I confirm that? Let me try my old magnets. Yep, seems to, well, it seems it's titanium or aluminum, but it is has a black coating and it's secured from the inside, so it's nice and clean. Overall, just nice and clean with this blue and black aluminum, by the way. Front flipper. That even works well for me, I promise, it sure does. Yeah, it works nicely. What other versions do we have right now? Sorry, just pulling up the page here. There is an Ultim version, Ultim with purple. Not my jam, but it's available. It has a black handle or black blade. That's about 75 bucks with Nitro V instead of the 154 cm on here. You can also get a black micarta with a blackened 154 cm blade for 80 bucks right now. Oh, we have also actually got a full-sized version. Black stone-washed blade, Nitro V, with black micarta, 4.11 inch blade. That's like 76 bucks right now. The pricing is sort of, it's not all together consistent in a way. It's probably the difference in because of Nitro V and 154cm, the 154cm is a little more expensive, but you can actually get the full-size knife for less than the mini knife in some of these cases. Check them out at the links below. Or the link.
There's other links.
There are several links, but those will be under just their own link. Next up, speaking of larger knives, we have the Michael Galovic designed Slicer, simply named and aptly named. Just under 70 bucks. We got a 3.8 inch Nitro V blade, thin drop point, full flat grind, crowned spine. It's rather nice overall, and there's plenty of reach on it. The handle is G10 with a bit of contour, and it's got the reach to really kind of get out there and cut something, which is pretty cool. Also, another blade that kind of angles down a little bit, makes pointing a little more natural in some scenarios. And we've got a back lock on this as opposed to a more like fidget-friendly lock mechanism. It also comes with a deep carry pocket clip, not reversible, unfortunately. The lock and the thumb studs would otherwise make it a symmetrically lefty knife, but we're not going to get that in this particular case. The lock back action comes with that half stop there, and then you push through to get it closed. It's a pretty deliberate motion, and likewise the opening is not really super snappy. You have to be pretty on the money. I'm getting a little more used to it. It's not as kind of immediately natural as a modern frame lock or liner lock flipper, or even thumb stud flicker. But it opens quite easily with a slower roll, as you can see. Yeah, feels solid. Lot of slicey potential in that. So, like I said, aptly named the Slicer. Next up, we've got a stylish piece, the Mini Mystic, a Paul Munko design from Kizer. This is also a 3.2 inch blade, so it's a medium or a mid-size folder, I would say, not quite a mini thing. 76 bucks for this one with black burlap micarta and distress copper-colored aluminum bolsters. Although they say copper-colored, I'd say it's more brass-like in my opinion. But it comes with like pre-worn edges, kind of roughed up to simulate some pocket wear. Burlap micarta pivot ring as well, which is pretty cool. Blade itself is Nitro V. We got a stone-washed finish and this harpoon point. As you can see, high enough flat grind and thin enough blade stock to be a good slicer, and that harpoon point is going to be a cool piercer. Gives you a point for your index finger if you like to do that sort of thing, or your thumb if you like to push really hard behind a cut as well. Another design with a downward pointed tip, which is nice. Reversible pocket clip, flush mounted screws not inset, so you get a cleaner presentation on the front since you don't have the inset cutout or filler tab or anything like that. Action on their crossbar lock, which they call the clutch lock, is quite good. It's set in its most taut position, but being the clutch lock, you can adjust it if you wish. I rather like it right out of the box. But yeah, bit of a stylish piece without sacrificing utility. That's not always the case. Sometimes things that get too stylish suffer a little bit. Not the case here, I would say. Similar vibes actually, but a more premium product is, I'm gonna say this feller's name wrong, and I assume it's a feller, Vuyon An. The knife is called the Feweed. It's coming in at about 179 bucks. Blade is Z-wear, which is very interesting. You don't see that too often. It is metallurgically the same as crew wear, though, as I understand it. So it's not going to offer kind of a new aspect of performance, just from a different manufacturer, which is neat. Harpoon point here as well with a full flat grind. Nice, fairly acute tip. I like the tapering profile to the blade. Titanium for the handles, gold camo fat carbon for the inlays on this one, but several different flavors are available right now. And milled titanium pocket clip, single screw there at the back. Frame lock, two ways to open it. You've got the gold thumb studs, which have a cool shape, and despite the looks, you might think, oh, maybe they're not so good. They're very good. They work very nicely. And then front flipping, haven't even tried it yet. Let's see. Works pretty well. Yeah, I prefer the thumb studs though. Yeah, way better in my opinion. Yeah, just under a 3-inch knife on a very premium platform. Feels very nice. Next up, we've got a couple new Militaws, a full-size folder and a fixed blade. And this one actually, if you've seen this one before, I apologize. I know we've had the fixed blade version of this look before. Sometimes if something sells out real quickly, and then it takes a little bit for us to get them back in stock, sometimes it'll show back up on our new items page. You know, the thought being that it didn't get a chance to be done being new. Whatever, not my decision. So if you've seen this one before, you're gonna see it again. $219 for this one, 3.35-inch blade, S45 VN, with a shiny black finish. Thomas is gonna have a lot of fun catching, or not catching reflections on that one. But really cool blacked out aesthetic, titanium handles on this one, gold dark matter fat carbon inlays, front and back, milled clip, frame lock, which lockup is very good. I'm trying not to touch it too much, so avoid making Thomas's job more difficult, having to clean the knife.
So much microfiber around here.
Yeah, it's true. Oh man, the reverse flick on these is so good. On these size handles, you've got, or I have at least with my slightly larger than average hands, a full-sized grip, placing my index finger where it's supposed to go. But because of this type of design, if you bridge, you're gonna take your first two fingers and kind of bridge that finger guard so that you're not actually in it. It's a great way to create a handle design where you can still get a super full, chunky grip right up next to the handle. Less of a essential thing on slightly larger knives like this, but can play a real important role on some smaller knives. We've also got a new version of the Militaw fixed blade, which I like even better than the folders, but hey, I'm a fixed blade guy. And the proportions of this, the proportions of the folder kind of have to be a folder, if you know what I mean. But check out the overall length between these two. They're just about the same, but you get, as you can see, way more blade, of course. On the fixed blade, you still got a full, 4-finger grip. At least you do, unless you have super large bear paws, which is really nice. Blade, 3.83 inches, Nitro V in this case. Little bit on the thicker side, perhaps, but I wouldn't worry about that. The cool thing that I like this size knife in general as an outdoor knife. The blade is certainly suited to that, but the handle is definitely a little bit more stylish, and this is something that kind of bridges worlds a little bit for me. It can be a good outdoor knife. It could be a self-defense knife. It could be just a everyday carry. It's not too bulky to kind of preclude that type of use, especially if you like to carry inside the waistband or concealed or something like that. $68 for this one, Nitro V for the blade steel, G10 handles contoured with micarta inlays. The sheath is Kydex, comes with a 2-row, well, technically it's 2.5 row because it's kind of like stagger stack, but like the two size, or two, I'm just gonna stick with what I originally said, a 2-row dots style attachment there with the button on the bottom to unlock it. So it's easy to take on and off when you want to, but it's not gonna come on and off when you don't want it to.
Tech Talk diet.
Tech Talk light, yeah. Just 1 calorie, just 2 rows of calories. Anyway, next up, a new version of the Muskrat, a very cool pocket fixed blade. Some of you called us out when we did our latest pocket fixed blade video that it didn't have this in it. The problem is, peek behind the curtain here a little bit, we don't always get to have all the knives we want to have in stock when it comes time to make a certain video, and we just kind of have to roll with it. This would absolutely deserve to be on the list because it's very cool. New version here is coming in at $80 with an S35 VN blade, 3.15 inches long. Cutting edge, however, is a fair bit smaller. Where is my ruler? So let me just confirm these measurements. Yep, that's blade length, tip to scale is about that 3 point whatever mark. Sharpened length is about 2 3/8 of an inch long. Does that thing that like the SE Azula does, where some of that quote unquote blade length is actually handle. Okay. Fun travails and trials of actually measuring and creating blade specs these days.
We're not lawyers.
Definitely not. Argyle pattern on the Macruti wood or handles. Slim enough on their dimensions where they're not going to be too bulky for sure. And just a very deft little blade for everyday carry types of things. sheath is Kydex. It's set up for either left-hand pocket carry or inside the waistband carry, most likely in a reverse draw, but flip this, this clip around and you could do right side carry. Would kind of stick out a little bit, but other options are always available too. Standard tech lock is going to fit that no problem if you want to go that way. Yeah, other options as well. But yeah, very, very cool little knife. I almost put the knife back where the sheaths go, Thomas.
We're doing new knives on Tuesday. You're putting knives where sheaths go. Just all over the place.
Next up, the Beaver fixed blade, $48 right now, 2 3/4 inch D2 blade. And this thing is small but chunky. The blade is not super thin. You do have a almost full flat grind, but this is a bit more of a small bruiser. I hesitate to say prying knife because you don't pry with a knife, but I know some of you are gonna do it anyway. At least you got a little more strength from the spine right here. Fairly narrow tip though, so keep that in mind. And D2, while it holds an edge really well, is not superbly tough, so also keep that in mind. The handles are nice and chunky too though. G10 with orange surrounds on the handle attachments, and enough chunk there for a 3-finger grip for me, I would say, but it feels solid. And you've got a nice set of thumb scallops there for a pinch grip and some reverse grips, which is also very cool. Sheath on this one is Kydex, also comes with that two-row style slim dots attachment. Good price on that though. Next up, we have got one more small Kizer fixed blade, the last Kizer on the table actually. The mini Harpoon from Maverick Customs. This is coming in at $66, 3-inch 3V blade. So if you're curious about that steel, great price as a way to check it out. 3V, of course, is not stainless, which is why this coating on here is going to help keep rust at bay, which is quite nice. It's got a little bit of texture to it. It could perhaps be a little bit smoother to make slicing a little more slick, but it ought to wear in pretty good, I would think. But it's going to hold an edge quite well, and 3V is a very tough steel as well, so this nice thin flat grind on it and very acute tip stand a better chance of not failing on you if you're getting a little rough and ready with it. Colorful G10 handles is what they call it. It's kind of that coral pattern G10, but a lot of different swirled colors involved in this particular one. Also, good grip on this, 3.5 fingers for me, but no finger guard protection. Keep that in mind. And the sheath, broken record at this point, Kydex, 2-row dots style attachment, ready to go. Very good price on that. Next up, if you like something made in the USA, I've got a couple fixed blades to slake you here, I hope. We have got the new Administrator fixed blade from Toor. 4-inch CPM 154 blade steel. That would be powder metal version of 154 CM. It's not identical. Soapbox. It is, edge retention should be about the same, but it is tougher. And if they heat treat it higher than they can standard 154 CM, because you've got extra toughness to sacrifice, it theoretically could have a longer lasting edge. And ironwood handles on this one. A pretty cool looking set of ironwood handles. It's less, obviously it's machine made, but it feels less machine made, a little more kind of craggly and natural. Both sides, of course, are going to be different because it is, in fact, a natural material, but they feel quite good. Yeah, it's a good, 4-inch utility knife. You do have a little bit of space between your finger guard and the start of the edge, which is a nice little safety feature or safety consideration at the very least. Jimping here at the front, quite aggressive. A little bit thick on the blade stock. This is going to be able to withstand some rough use despite its small size. And the sheath is Kydex with a soft felt lining. No belt attachment is provided. Let's check out the spacing here. Let's see. Well, a Civivi T-clip will work. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we do have some Tech-Lock hole spacing right here. And although it's discontinued and you can't get a small Tech-Lock anymore, let me just see if you have one lying around. Those holes will fit, the first 2 holes will fit a small Tech-Lock. If you don't like the ironwood option, we've got ebony wood, also an option. So no synthetic materials for the handles at this point in time, at the very least. But man, those are put together real nicely. Next up, a new version of the El Chete from Tops. 12-inch cleaver style blade, $10.95 steel, of course, $284 for this monster. You've got micarta handles with sort of a mountain tread finish. They're calling it the Rocky Mountain tread, in fact, and a bow drill divot on both sides. If you're going to use that, while attempting to use it to start a primitive fire, please, please, please throw the knife in the sheath. It'll be much safer, and you don't have to leave the whistle dangling there either, but do it like this. Here's the Kydex sheath, too. Pull the dot, snap. Oh, is that pull the dot? Oh, yeah. Wait, is it? Wait a minute. No, it's just a snap. I thought it was a pull the dot there for a second. Had a little nub on the inside. Anyway, what is this thing good for? Breaking stuff. I mean, that is pure and simple. It kind of has like the vibes of like a competition style cleaver, just a little bit more, a little bit bigger. Consequently, it's not going to be as good at some of the smaller stuff. In fact, if I'm trying to like choke up, if I wanted to in a pinch do stuff like this, small work there at the heel, I'd want to choke up to about right there, and my middle finger is hitting that prominent groove or faux sub-hilt there pretty aggressively. I wouldn't be too happy about doing a lot of that. But if you're involved and curious and interested in smashing, this is your ticket right here. Chopping wood, splitting wood, chopping whatever, splitting whatever, basically. But this thing is a monster chopper. Felling small saplings are gonna be no problem. Splitting wood for a campfire, no problem. To me, this is where I would probably use it. This would be a campfire tool for busting stuff up.
Smashing.
It would be a smashing good time. Like, I wanna go do it now, man. Ugh, haven't been able to in too long. How about something a little more tactical? A couple new Fox knives. The Foxes overran the Warren last week, so a few of them got bumped into this week. We had a lot of Fox in last week's video. This is the Tactical Elementum Dagger. Curious to see if they're able to keep that name. But $95, you've got a 4-inch N690 blade. Despite the dagger profile grind on this one, it is single-edged. I wonder, are any of the versions double-edged? Let me check here. Yes, you can get a double-edged version for just like $3 more than this. You can also get a double-edged version where the back half is fully serrated. So like it's half fully serrated. That one's about $98, $99. This one right here is just a couple cents over 95 right now. N690 steel, injection molded handle, symmetrical experience. So if you are using this in sort of a tactical or self-defense scenario, just know which way your edge is pointing. If you have the double edge, you can assume you're always going to be pointing the right way that you want it to be, but on this one, anyway. But this could be handy if, for instance, in your area you aren't able to have a double-edged blade, or if you'd prefer the more everyday capable utility of a single-edged blade where you can get up there and do finer stuff without worrying about cutting yourself. This could be a good option. Sheath is nicely done, Kydex. You've got positive retention, and just in case you're still worried, you do have this secondary fabric loop, nylon I think actually, that snaps into place. 2 single row dots style attachments here on the back. These are the compact dots molly things that they got. Words. Let's just check out for other compatibility. Large tech lock, no problem if you prefer something like that instead. But these feel nice. They're lightweight, nimble, ready to go. There you go. Next one. Actually, is this the, I think it is. This is the least expensive knife on the table, and yet it's going to have, of the stuff on the table, I think, per inch at least, the best edge retention. And that is this right here. The small Vulpis from Fox with an M390 blade for just $35 and some change. Yeah, obviously it's not a big, hard work knife. It is a small cutter, but it is going to be a small cutter that has an edge. It's going to last quite a long time, which is good because you don't have a ton of it. 1.77 inches in this case. Sheep's foot profile, or modified sheep's foot with a full flat grind. Not super thin, but thin enough. Yeah, very cool. Brass, as mentioned, for the handles. Half stop on the close. Not super snappy, but it does exist. And you've got the thumb or blade cut out there, which is going to make it easy for folks to open and close, even if you have like weak fingernails. I know some folks that can't really open like really hardcore slip joints sometimes because the blades fight back a little bit. For a couple bucks more, you could get a black bladed version. I think that one looks even better, but I had to show the least expensive option for that right now because less than 36 bucks for some M390. That's cool. Next up, from RoseCraft, we have the Mill Creek Cotton Sampler coming in 63 bucks. 3.125 inch blade, D2 steel in that classic kind of cotton sampler variety. Are you going to be sampling cotton with this? Probably not. It's still an effective or fairly effective everyday blade or just a collectible blade. A lot of times I think cotton samplers wind up in folks' collections for that purpose, the collection.
No, I'm seeing a cheese knife right there.
Oh, you could get behind that. Could be your Camembert sampler.
Or blue.
I was going for the like cotton sampler. I was trying to like, what's the closest cheese to cotton?
Cottage.
Cottage cheese sampler. There you go. Perfect. I love it. Black sandalwood handles. A lighter wood handle option is also available. I think it's also sandalwood. Yeah, red sandalwood also available. 63 bucks. The RoseCraft stuff is excellent. The walk and talk is great. The levels of fit and finish far exceed the price you're going to pay for these knives. The D2 steel lasts longer, edge retention wise than most comparably priced classic or traditional slip joints. There's a lot to recommend for RoseCraft's slip joints for sure. Next up, from Boker's traditional series. Now I know I mentioned the RoseCraft with its D2 steel has better edge retention than most classic slip joints, traditional slip joints. Not so here. This one also has D2. This is the traditional series 2.0 Congress from Boker. And these are made in Germany as well. And price on this is just under 60 bucks right now. And Congress pattern, as you would expect, you've got 4 blades. There we go. It's always a dicey proposition opening something on another spring that already has a blade open. So let me see if I can get my blades right. You've got, it's almost a pen blade in this case, but it's modified sheep's foot or almost modified Warncliffe here. Anyway, 2 other sheep's foot blades and 1 coping blade is how I'm going to interpret this set of, or this combination of blades here. Black jigged bone handles with the Boker Germany shield there on the front. Make sure I get it right. All of them D2 as well. So edge retention, yeah, you're gonna have way more edge to hold an edge, if that makes sense, on this 4-bladed affair right here for a couple less dollars actually. And German made too, which that is nice. Fit and finish, maybe a step or so behind the RoseCraft, but still very good. The RoseCraft, that's just showing how good the RoseCraft is, not that this Boker is not good. The RoseCraft is just very good. And last but not least, technically a knife, technically a multi-tool because it has a bottle opener. Basically a fancy wine key here, the Oste Sommelier Waiter's Corkscrew Knife from Maserin. A few different wood handle options. This is the olive wood, $98.95 right now, made in Italy. You've got essentially 2 helpers right here, 2 helper arms to assist your corkscrew there, which is interesting. I've never seen one with a double.
I've seen it. You're supposed to do a 2-stage.
Oh, it's a 2-stager?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Feels very nice. What are the handles actually? Are these steel handles? 3D steel handles, they call them. They're not 3D printed, they're just milled. And feel very premium. And what I like about the foil cutter, thank you, Thomas, is they are lightly serrated. Not a super pointy serration, but a wave-like pattern, which is great because most of these, when you bring it up to the bottle and you cut with it one time, you're right on glass and you're gonna dull a straight edge really quickly. This one right here is gonna hit the edge while preserving the sharpened bits in between the apexes of the serrations. So it's gonna be able to work longer without having to mess around with resharpening it, which is quite nice. All of it feels very good. Also comes with a leather pocket slip that looks like cork. It's not, it's leather. That comes with it as well. Well, that's all we've got for right now, folks. Make sure to let us know what you thought down in the comments of these new knives. And if you want to get your hands on any of them, check out the links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com. Where in addition to our long-running Knife Rewards program, don't forget about our new Sezzle payment options. If some of these pricier things, you want to break them up into a few payments, you can do that. That's all for now. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, and that's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.